Do we still have some kids in the house? Yes? Okay, great. All right, this is for everybody, though, this question, not just for kids. I wonder if sometimes it is hard for you to go to sleep. Maybe lately, is it even harder? Are you finding? Okay. When I was a child of about age 9 or 10, I had a very difficult time sleeping. It wasn't the dark. It wasn't monsters. It was my wandering mind. I wondered about death mostly. What would I become? Like the thing that is me. What about my parents and everyone I loved? What is beyond this life? Staring up at the ceiling, wondering fearfully. The worst part about that time, which was really a year, was that I didn't tell anyone about my fears. I was too afraid of the fears to talk about it. I would just stare up at the ceiling, heart beating fast with fear and worry. Night after night, sleeping very little. And so it was a very bad year for classroom behavior, bad year for grades. And finally, after a difficult year, after this year, I finally told someone, the person who I told was very surprising. I mean, it was my piano teacher, Anne Monaco. I'm going to say her name because she's kind of famous in Chicago, or she was in those days. But she wasn't even my nicest teacher. She really was not very nice, actually. But I couldn't play. I got to the bench and I put my fingers on the keys. It was just an easy piece I was supposed to have practiced. And I couldn't play. And finally, all the tears that I had been holding back came out all at once on the piano bench. I was heaving and having trouble breathing, and I was really nervous because she wasn't my nicest teacher, not even close. And the gift that she gave me was not really the musical gift. My sister got the musical gift, not me. The gift she gave me, though, might be why I'm here today. She didn't roll her eyes. By the way, this is a gift that you can give a kid in this congregation too. She didn't roll her eyes. She didn't give me platitudes. She didn't tell me, oh, it'll be fine somehow. She didn't say, you're here for piano. No, she didn't do any of that. In fact, she closed the piano book. And she said, I'd like to tell you about my husband. We were married for many, many years. And 2 years ago, he passed away. And she told me the very real story of her experience of her husband's death. She told me the things that he said when he was in the hospital, in the process of dying. The things that he described seeing when he was barely conscious at all. And that he would say that he was seeing her father and his parents too. And they were kind of waving at him, waving him away. And then he woke back up and had a couple more weeks with Anne, my piano teacher. And so because of that whole experience, she, who was very no-nonsense, she was no mystic, my friends. She told me where she felt he was. She said, I know that he is in a loving place that is filled with light and joy and memory, because he was starting to describe it to me. And she said, I know that he is there with his own parents, and that there is nothing but beauty. Now, I walked home from that piano lesson practically skipping. I was so light on my feet. Now, you have to remember that I was raised by Unitarian Universalists who were very afraid to ever answer any of my questions. Like, they didn't want to inculcate me with any idea about anything, and I get that. But this is why this gift came from my piano teacher, not from my parents, actually, or even my religious educators. So that night, after that piano lesson, how do you think I slept? I slept like a baby who had never worried about anything. Because I was comforted not by my own knowledge, but by her faith. By her faith. It was absolutely comforting. It was lovely to know that my kind of mean piano teacher had deep and abiding faith in an afterlife. And just to see the comfort that it brought to her was comforting to me. Just the comfort, not the answers, but being taken seriously and being comforted seriously. Now, I am a parent of 9-year-olds, and sometimes it is difficult for them to go to sleep. And it's not the dark, they don't mind that, nor monsters, no. It's the way their minds wander. And sometimes my kids, they wonder about death. And they ask questions, what lies beyond this life? And what about Granddad, who died 2 years ago? When unanswerable questions fill the mind, it can be very helpful to consider what our mind can do. Our mind can help comfort us, can shape our response to the scary questions and the mountains of worry. And this is what I tell my kids now. You can tell your mind what to do. So each night of their lives, we sing the Fred Small song together. Yes, in its entirety. It takes a very long time. Sometimes I'm like, just the chorus tonight? No. And then, if there is too much worry, then we will plan our dreams. We discuss who we would like to see in our dreams tonight. Maybe they want to see their granddad. We'll talk about what we hope to say to him or what we hope to do with him in our dream tonight. Or we will plan a dream adventure. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the night we will finally dream that most elusive of dreams, flying. The flying dream. You know it. You know the dream. The flying dream. Now, while Freud thought of dreams as wish fulfillment or resolution of what was unfulfilled in the daylight hours of our relationships, the depth psychologist Carl Jung considered dreams to be a little bit more like that great book, Where the Wild Things Are. The unfiltered great romp of your unconscious mind, playfully and imaginatively responding to the conscious mind. Carl Jung wrote, dreams may contain ineluctable truths, philosophical pronouncements, illusions, wild fantasies, memories, plans, anticipations, irrational experiences, even telepathic visions, and heaven knows what besides. And after studying Jung's work in seminary, I came to understand dreams much like the luck dragon in that 1980s adventure film, The Never-Ending Story. You remember that film? Just climb on the luck dragon's back, hang on to what you can, and try to whisper a destination in its ear. Perhaps what was unresolved during the day can find resolution, but more likely, a person from my past will suddenly appear in my dream. And if my dragon is truly lucky, that night, occasionally, I will encounter someone who I have loved and lost. It is such a blessing when that happens. Does that ever happen to you? They may appear on the shores of a river I am traveling down. This happened very recently. Just a friendly presence watching me go by. They may be a more active player in the dream, like a conversation partner, but more often it is the mere fact of their presence in my dream that I take with me into the morning. I rarely remember the details, but I will know I had a visit from them. And more than wondering what they were trying to tell me, I try to focus on the feeling they brought to my dream. This is what Carl Jung really wanted people to do. Not try and interpret so much, but focus on the feeling that you retain from the dream into the morning. And if I can focus on that feeling, then I experience their presence with me for the rest of the day, returning to it again and again, and I experience their visit to me in my unconscious as a very deep blessing. So the question is, what to do with this blessing? Where to bring it? You have your butterflies? Okay, if you have butterflies, it's time to raise them. Let's raise your butterflies if you have them. Or I see some people making butterflies out of their hands. Okay, this community can be the magic circle. This is the circle where the butterfly, keep them raised, where the butterflies alight on us in the form of all those who loved us and who have loved this community into being. We feel the whisper of their presence on our arms. We wonder if they would have approved of this decision the congregation made, or that decision the congregation made, or would they have approved of this part of our campus? I mean, we really do evoke people's names, people who this congregation has lost when we are making big decisions. We wonder what they would have thought. We speak their names to one another, sharing stories and memories. If there's someone new to the congregation, you might just want to tell them all about Howard Reese, who they won't get to meet in life, but they sure could meet after life. Keep them flying. We share stories and memories. We listen to their voices in worship team meetings. As we're planning worship for you, joyfully or tearfully, reminding ourselves who those people were and what mysteries we uncovered while we were leading their memorial services. Such a deep privilege to lead a memorial service for someone and find out even more about them. Did you know, for example, Howard Reese served as a thought partner for board presidents and congregational leaders who felt unsure of themselves? He would just offer to meet with them and think through some big ideas. Did you know Carol Reinhardt worked on legislation that raised the drinking age from 18 to 21, thus saving countless lives? I didn't. Did you know, I just learned this, so I don't think you do know, that Jerry Moore has a monument in the historic Oakland Cemetery with a chalice on it, and the famous UU quote, "We need not think alike to love alike." I mean, field trip. Let's go. There is never time enough to know each other, and yet we can still continue learning more about each other after death. The discovery continues. And isn't that a blessing? So let us cast this congregation as a magic circle, as the place where life begins and ends, and that circle where we meet in the middle, between life and death, the place we return to seek beauty, a sense of magic, and a connection to the holy. May it be so.